Hey, it's Nathan with OptionsForL.com. In this video, I'm going to go over my options trades for this past week ending 19 December 2025. So we're going to take a look at the trades that I put on, the trades that closed, and then I'm going to look at my current open positions and try and plan out what I'm going to do next week or in the near future. And so here we are inside of the Options4L options tracking tool that you can find at tool.optionsforl.com, and you can use it yourself, but this is what I use for tracking my particular options. And I'm currently filtered on this past week right here, and we can see my total P&L live is $1,147. My total P&L realized is $568.01. So that's what I've realized this past week. I had opened 2 separate positions this week, and my win rate was 75% thus far. But what I really want to look at is the positions that closed and opened this week. So that's the main focus of this video. So the first position that closed this week was an IBIT covered call position, and you can see it's right over here on the position open this week. So I also opened this particular position and closed it in the same week. So I try and do covered calls on a weekly basis with IBIT. IBIT is the ETF that follows Bitcoin, and Bitcoin can be quite volatile. And typically I don't want to go too far out in time just in case, something crazy random happens. And so I typically aim for week-long covered calls unless I have to roll out and up or anything like that. So this week I put on a covered call on the 16th, which was actually Tuesday. And that's because first thing Monday morning, Bitcoin and IBIT dumped hard. And I didn't want to jump into a covered call position right after the dump, because I wasn't sure if it was going to rebound right back up and then I'd be in a bad position for a covered call. And so I waited till Tuesday and then I put on my covered call position. So I didn't receive as much premium as I usually would have, but I thought that the risk was reduced by doing it the following day after things have kind of cooled down. So we can see this was quite a simple transaction. I just sold to open a call with a 51.50 strike price, expiration December 19th, and 19 contracts at 22 cents, and it closed and expired, and I got to keep all my premium. So simple trade there. The next trade that closed this week was another covered call, and this one was part of a roll. So I had rolled this particular position. You can see that I closed it for $2,879.59. So that was my realized profit right there. But since it was a rolled position, I did have to pay a debit previously on this position in order to close out my previous position. So my roll chain profit was $1,006.82. So a profitable roll chain, and I got to close it out because this particular position expired on the 19th as well. So we can go ahead and open it up, and we can see my roll chain history. So my initial position, I had an expiration date of December 5th, 51.50 strike price. I opened it for a $503.59 credit, but then the price of IBIT rose, so I wound up rolling out and up this particular position to December 19th. So 2 more weeks of time and $2 more in strike price. But in order to do that, I realized a loss of $1,872, but I opened the position for a credit. And now since the position has expired, I was able to realize my entire profit of $2,879. And so my chain total is $1,006.82. So it's nice to close out some of these roll chains, and that way I can open up some positions next week. Another position that closed this week was an iron condor. So let me open this up real quick. We can see that I put an iron condor on back on November 3rd here. So about 40 days it was my goal. My total credits were $2,813. Total debits $2,346. My net P&L was $467.50. So this expired worthless as well, and I got to keep that entire premium or credit right there. So that was nice. And then I have this cash secured put that I had to roll. And you can see that I closed it out for a debit of $3,196. And over here on my open positions, I opened a new position where I received a credit of $7,249. So let me go ahead and click into this, and we'll take a look at the roll chain. So this one's been rolled 3 times already. And we can see my current chain total is in the negative, $4,980. So I am kind of just stringing this thing along, waiting for IBIT or Bitcoin to bounce back up. But we can see my initial position where I had an expiration date of October 17th. It's now December 20th when I'm recording this video. So this has been going on for a couple months, and it will be nice to finally close this out eventually. but I had a cash secured put and a strike price of 62.50. I had to roll it down and out. I rolled it down and out to $59. Bitcoin kept dropping, and I rolled it out and down to $56. And then just this week, since Bitcoin dumped pretty hard on Monday, I was watching the extrinsic value, and it dropped to about 10 cents on this particular position. And I was worried that it might get exercised, so I went ahead and I just rolled it out for some more time. But I did not roll it down. I kept the same strike price. I just rolled it out about 3 weeks and increased my extrinsic value, so I got about 66 cents of extrinsic value on this particular trade right now, and it just gets me some more time. I feel like IBIT or Bitcoin is finding a floor right now, and we're going to start moving up here in the near future. But we'll do some technical analysis in just a minute. So that's my positions that closed this week. I already talked about the covered call position that I opened and closed, and also this cash secured put, but I also opened up another iron condor. So I've been doing an iron condor once a week and have an expiration date about 40 days out in the future, and I'm trying to generate about $500 a week by putting on these iron condor trades. So we can see right now my credit was $560. Right now it's worth about $79.22. So I'm up overall, and we can see the different legs and positions. So I did 3 contracts for this iron condor on the SPY ETF. And now I just need SPY to stay between $655 and $700 by January 23rd, and I'll just monitor it along the way. I still have 30 some days, so no action to take at this moment in time. So those are the positions that closed this week and opened this week. Now I want to move on to the current open positions and consider what I might need to look at or pay attention to in this upcoming week. I'm going to go ahead and clear live prices and load them back in. And okay, so these are my open positions, and we can see the expiration dates right here. So I only have one option expiring this particular week on Friday, December 26th, and then I've got another one expiring on the 31st, so the last day of the year, so on Wednesday, which is kind of a weird day to expire, but I guess it's the last day of the calendar year, so they put an expiration date for that particular day. So looking at this particular position, I'm in a good spot. The deltas right here are very, very low, so the likelihood that it winds up expiring worthless and I get to keep all $482.50 of my credit are pretty high at this moment in time. So let me click into it. We can see that my live P&L, so this is using the current price of the stock, puts me at full profit at this point in time. So basically I could go ahead and close this trade and basically keep all this. I would have to pay probably a couple pennies here or there in order to fully close out this trade, but I am basically at max profit at this point in time. So I might close it out, on Monday morning. That way I don't have to worry about something happening, over Christmas or something like that. And for fun, I'm going to go ahead and do chart analysis on this particular option. So December 26, 6 days, SPY ETF. We'll go ahead and analyze our chart. And you can find this tool at chart.optionsforall.com. It's a free tool you can go ahead and use to analyze your particular stocks. And while that analysis is running, we'll come back over here and go on to the next position. So I have another iron condor. Deltas are very low, costs are very low, and we'll click into it real quick. We can see that my net P&L, so this was the initial credit that I received, was $473.50. My current live P&L is $446.50, so I have a P&L gap of $27. That means that I could close this position out for basically $27, and therefore I would basically earn $446.50. So that would be my credit. So, I'm 95% profit right here. And if I wanted to close it early, I could go ahead and do that. 95% profit is, pretty good return, but I'm going to let it keep going and probably let it expire or try to expire. And then I have 2 more iron condors expiring on January 2nd. So that's the first Friday of the year. So I got about 2 weeks until that happens, and they're looking just fine. The deltas are pretty low. Nothing's in a threatening range or anything like that. So nothing to be concerned about at this point in time. Let me scroll on down. here is a cash secured put position, 23rd January expiration date, and this is the one we were just looking at. And you can see that I have a high delta right here of 77. So this one is kind of risky. I still have some time. I'd want to watch my extrinsic value. So my extrinsic value is 66 cents. If it gets lower, I might need to take some action, but it's far enough out in time right now that I'm not going to take any action. I have another one right here. Extrinsic value is sitting at 73 cents. You know, I still got some time, so no major actions that I'm going to take this week to like close anything out early. However, I am going to open up another covered call position. Since I had those two close this past week, I want to go ahead and open up another one. And I'll also be opening up my weekly iron condor as well. And finally, I want to let AI analyze my account and see what it comes up with what I should watch for or pay attention to in the near future. So I'm going to go ahead and generate a report real quick. And I can kind of balance what it says I should do with my portfolio compared to what I think I should do with my portfolio. So I'm going to let that run real quick, and we're going to come back over to our chart. And again, we were analyzing the SPY ETF. We are bullish on it for this week. We expect it to go to about $686.50, an increase of 0.74% for the week. And it breaks down all the technical indicators that it's looking at, the trending behavior, the chart patterns, the potential scenarios, and so on. So it gives a really nice breakdown. And again, this is a free tool, chart.optionsforl.com, and it just gives us an idea of where the stock might go. Of course, this is for informational and educational purposes only, not financial advice. But I'm good with it going to $686.50. That would have my iron condor expire worthless, and I get to keep my entire premium. I'm going to run another analysis on IBIT real quick for Friday. So we got December 26th. Let me load an IBIT real quick and generate, because I want to do a covered call on it, right? And we'll go ahead and analyze this particular chart. And while that is running, we'll come back over and look at what AI thinks about my entire account portfolio. So we have our portfolio overview and risk assessment, our Greeks analysis and implications, and I'm basically going to scroll down to what I need to pay attention to right now, and it has some of it right here. So this is a major concern right there. But let's go on down. We have key risks and considerations, and suggested actions. So immediate actions in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Address the $59 put for February 26th. So this is priority number 1. So it's recommended I roll down to $55 or $52 strike, extend to March, April for credit, or I take the loss and free up $47,200 of capital, or accept assignment risk if bullish long term, but be prepared for capital commitment. And its recommendation is to roll down and out. This reduces delta exposure and defers decision. So let me actually hop over to Robinhood Legend and take a look at this recommendation. So it's talking about my $59 IBIT put with the February expiration. So come over to options real quick, and let me go to February. And we're going to go ahead and buy it back real quick. And then we're going to roll out to, I think it said March or April. We'll go to May. We'll go to May 15th. We'll roll out and we'll roll down. We'll try and roll down a little bit to kind of reduce our risk or exposure. And we can see it's going to cost me $9.95 to close out that position. And it's looking kind of hard to roll down for a credit. I can roll down to 58 and still net a credit, and maybe even 57 and still net a very, very small credit. So maybe like a 9-cent credit times 8 quantity, so maybe $72 credit right there. But I'd give myself more time and also lower my risk from 59 to 57, which also reduces the amount of money that IBIT has to go up before I start turning profitable again. So yeah, I'd agree with the AI. This is kind of a risky position and something that I need to pay attention to. It also talks about the $56 put with the January expiration that we looked at previously, and then I need to monitor my near-term SPY iron condors. They're looking good right now, so let them expire worthless for maximum profit if they stay out of range. So that's my plan. And so what I was thinking is pretty much in line with what the AI is thinking, so it's good to have that double check. We got some strategic actions we could take next month, long-term structural improvements, and so on. So a lot of great information in there. Let me come back to the stock chart right here, and we can see that we are bullish next week on IBIT. We think it's going to go from $49.95 up to $50.65, so increase of 1.4%. So if I'm putting on a covered call, I probably want to do it, above $51 strike price, or $51.50, maybe $52 strike price. So that way it can hopefully expire worthless and I just get to keep that premium. And so that's what went on with my options trading account this past week and what I'm looking for next week and in the near future. So hopefully you found this video interesting or helpful, and I hope you have a great day.